Well, shalom, in the name of Yeshua, in the name above all names. This video is entitled Mind Control, and I'm just going to discuss the nature and various aspects that we talked about, the demonic influences in the churches, just briefly, my own experiences in that. But obviously you research some cathedrals and abbeys, for example, Paisley Abbey. Check out Paisley Abbey and see that where the inspiration for the movie Aliens came from. What about Roslyn Chapel and some of the metaphysical, whatever you call them, secrets, there about how certain music patterns affect people's, obviously DNA, affect people's souls and minds. If you research the Gregorian chants, they used to be very positive form, perhaps, maybe not of mind control, but really mind liberation. For example, there's a difference between old style hymns that maybe you find in some Anglican churches. You maybe might find in some Free Church of Scotland churches, very, very old type of Christianity. Maybe certain ones there in America, different parts of the world where the missionaries came 100, 200 years ago. And a lot of these hymn books and traditions are still honoured, and that they wear the white overalls, they take off their suits and nonsense, that they use to charm people. You can use clothes, you can use certain makeups to charm people. You can check out obviously one of the most popular videos on my channel, which a young man from Ghana made. Great insight about heaven and hell, why even pastors' wives end up in hell, because they're using certain charms, and as a form of mind control. This aspect is usually found in the more liberal, progressive, modern type of churches. Some of them even have tea rooms in the churches now. They've desecrated pulpits, they've taken away the Bible, they've put stages there and lights for performers. That's what you're getting when you're going to many churches these days. And this is a form of bedazzlement or mind control. If you've got that sort of a weak temperament, perhaps, and you go along to these and you'll be drooling at the mouth, watching all the lights and whatever's going on, but really you're not getting anything worthwhile from the Lord. In fact, you're not getting anything from the Lord. All you're getting is a show. But again, in fact the majority of so-called Christians love this type of stuff. They'll go to shows. If people are speaking in a different language, there could be some tongue that maybe somebody says they got a gift of tongues on God TV. What you got to pray for is the interpretation thereof. Otherwise, these people could be throwing curses at you while they're telling you to give them their money. Again, this is a form of mind control. Now, when you go into witchcraft, they obviously use charms such as rings, bracelets, even other things like, as I said, clothes can be used as well. Even patterns on clothes can be used to trigger certain demonic spirits when people are watching on the TV, or it could be, seen a few video channels speaking about that. For example, brooches that, for example, the Queen of England sometimes wears. Soul Voice speaks about, even though he's not a Christian, he understands the metaphysical nature, the fact that the spiritual world does control the physical, and also the mental aspects of a human being. And when we read the book of Revelation, it talks about a mark being put on the forehead. Now, presently, we know it's a spiritual mark. It's a witchcraft control mark that spiritually demons will put on your forehead to stop you thinking about the gospel, to stop obviously unbelievers and people who are not saved to actually start researching the truth. Now, in the New Age movement, it talks about love, but it never talks about love for the truth. There's songs written about love, many songs written about love. 6'6", he stood on the ground, he weighed 225 pounds. But this man was brought down by a thing called love. Johnny Cash record. He didn't go later on. He obviously produced some gospel music, but these musicians, as we know, are cornered into making mistakes in the fact that they're selling their souls to Satan in order to get record contracts. People like Sheena Easton, who is from near my hometown, Bellshill, she had one of the best voices. If you check out all the voices of that era during the 1980s, there's no doubt she had one of the best voices. But you see that how her talent was used, to produce music with Prince, or to produce music, for the James Bond thing, or to produce music with Kenny Rogers. It's not exactly glorifying to God, but it's talking about love, it's talking about these type of things. But I look at Sheena's life and I think, wow, maybe she didn't humble herself enough in her personal life in order to come under the influence of a good man. Maybe she just didn't have that Christian influence in her life, or maybe I'm wrong. Nobody knows that much about her personal life. But you see many of these stars' lives are ruined because of the industry itself. Even if they've not made contracts with Satan, you're still in that atmosphere. You're still in with these people that are doing these wicked things, and you're not exactly going to be making gospel records in that type of atmosphere, are you? So it just ruined lives. And I think the last thing that Prince said before he died, he obviously predicted that in the future that people will have their own recording studios and produce their own music and sell it themselves without record labels. Obviously, the past 10 years we've had a lot of opportunities online. I myself, I've got one song that I produced called Big River, and I'm trying to think, Da He Wang, I think it's called. When in Chinese, it's actually it's got a Chinese title. Some of you might have heard it over on the other channel, the King Yahweh channel. I think it's called Da He Wang, which means Big River. And I produced that myself. I did that one just in a couple of nights, couple of days, and released it. But again, God doesn't want me to use PayPal, and oftentimes I just don't use the online services in that aspect. I need prayer about that, because obviously the time is coming, obviously, that you're going to have this microchip, you're going to have the mark of the beast in order to interact online and do anything online. We know that the www and the Hebrew VVV, Vav is 6 letters, 6. So it's all intertwined with the beast system, that's obviously come into effect right now. And we see the progression when you go to the shops now. They have the infrared ray guns that they point right at your forehead, which I've refused on occasion. And I believe obviously it's a spiritual aspect that they're trying to, and this is the last few years until the mark of the beast and the Antichrist actually happens. There's no doubt about that. If you don't know that yet, then I don't know what you've been doing. And it's quite amazing that there can be this space of lockdown, and yet there's still people out there that just think it's a happenstance, it's a coincidence, that this thing hasn't been planned, for decades. Isn't it just funny that this thing happens, and all of a sudden worldwide they have these rather handy infrared devices that can just read your temperature right on your forehead. And the Bible talks about the mark of the beast being on the forehead of the right hand. It's very coincidental, do you think? Or do you think they've planned this for a number of decades? Now, do you think it's a coincidence that every nation on earth has test kits? Just all of a sudden, they just have test kits there, thousands, millions of them in some cases, just lying around. I think that's a coincidence. Obviously, people have made videos showing you as early as 2017, many nations were ordering test kits for the so-called pandemic. So yes, it's been planned. Obviously, we've made videos exposing the fact that this has been patented by Pinbright Institute, and obviously left videos online regarding that. Many people have, and just to show people that we're in the last days, this is indeed the end times. And what does this infrared device do? Well, they won't tell you that, of course. They won't tell you anything of what it actually does. But if there's channels that talk about blue light, there's channels that talk about certain aspects in infrared. Now, it's believed that in shining this device at your forehead, that it attacks the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is something that is inside your forehead, which when you're sleeping at night and you're dreaming, that God can give you dreams and visions. But if your pineal gland is not working, for example, if it's calcified or if it's fluoridated, for example, if it's not functioning properly, if you're drinking too much caffeine, again, that can affect your pineal gland. But if somebody every day, every other day you're going shopping, somebody's shining this right on your pineal gland, do you think that's having an effect? Of course it is. And my brother over there, as I said, Soul Voice, has made some very good videos about that. And so has many other people. So what I recommend to do is refuse it and just say, well, if you need to do it, can you do it at another part of my body? In some occasion I've just said, I don't have a temperature. And they've just smiled and just let me walk through. It just depends on the person. Obviously, more and more places are having, I try to avoid shops, obviously, that have these aspects and so on. But sometimes you just have to, if you have to go in, just refuse. Just say, well, I wouldn't like you to shine it there, please. Could you do it on another part? And sometimes they'll do it on your neck. They should do it on your neck. Again, it's not ideal, but we're in the last days, so you have to go about your business a little bit until the Lord shows us what else to do. So just some information about that. Obviously, you check out that video, some of the most popular videos on my channel, and you can see obviously that the music industry, we spoke about the movie industry briefly in the other video, and the entertainment business as well. Obviously the sports world is something else that we've discussed on that video as well. Been given insight that professional footballers, for example, did you know Ronaldinho had a contract with a demon to give him certain abilities that he could the goal he scored against England, it was very, very strange, a free kick from about 35 yards. And he somehow, they had the keeper at full stretch, a very good keeper. I think it was was it Shelton or somebody that was in goals. And somehow he made it go up into the corner and just dipped down, almost dipped down just at the last second to get, if you look at some of the things that have actually happened, Ronaldinho was one, and another one is Pele. Pele is arguably the best footballer who ever lived, and the most prolific striker, one of the most prolific strikers along with Puskás from, I think it's Hungary. But Pele himself is shown also, he's still living, mind you, so is Ronaldinho, but also someone, as I said on that video, saw from the Lord that guy had some kind of contract out with a demon to give him exceptional supernatural abilities on the pitch, whereby, it just give him an extra yard. His reaction times would be like a cat, it'd give him strength, supernatural strength. Also, when you're controlling the ball, that the ball itself does certain things that seem quite unnatural. And so if that's happening in soccer, as Americans call it, we call it football, you can guarantee it's happening in just about every other professional sport in the world, And obviously by now, as a real Christian, you can bind these demons before matches. It happens in Africa. There's a lot of that's been covered widely. The fact that obviously the African countries, all of them are doing witchcraft. Some of them will have witch doctors, various spiritists that will put charms, certain things on the pitch before, during games, all types of things happening, even to cause fatalities to the opposition, which we've seen happen. We've seen the ball almost doing loop-the-loops in the sky in some videos. We've seen people being picked off their feet and thrown around, and there's absolutely no one there. So the metaphysical world is indeed ruled by the spiritual world, and that's the God's angels or it's Satan's demons, And if you're a sportsman, if you're a musician, if you are an entertainer, and you're involved with other people, you can bind demons, and both in your team and the opposition, so that their powers don't work. That is the power that we have as Christians, to be able to do that, because it's very unnatural indeed, what these people are doing, and it's very unsportsmanlike as well, isn't it? But anyhow, I just thought I'd mention these things. Obviously, I hope you're all doing well, and if there's any requests you want me to make, any videos about any particular thing, let me know. Okay, so shalom. Thank you for listening.